Okay, my name is Maddie Geller. I'm a student at Vanderbilt University, and I'm here with Miss Casey Byrne. She's the awesome LTDS at Glenview Elementary. So for one of my classes, EDUC 6400, we're talking about literacy development and different theories of reading. Our current topic is early reading, including things like read-alouds, basal readers, and group reading experiences. So, Ms. Byrne, if you could just talk about some of your educational experiences and maybe a little bit about your journey as a teacher.
Sure. So I have been teaching, this is my 9th year in education.
Wow.
I spent my first little bit in the classroom teaching first grade, and then I moved into reading recovery for 4 years while the district had reading recovery. So teaching struggling readers, early reading behaviors and skills, and now I'm the literacy coach. This is my 2nd year as a literacy coach, and I'm just learning so much in this role. Yeah.
That's awesome. 9 years is quite an accomplishment. Okay, so one of our readings for this week was by the authors Shickadance and Collins. Shout out to Dr. Collins, who works at Vanderbilt. They argue that personal affect questions like, what did you like about the story, or what was your favorite part, don't actually deepen children's story understandings, and they say that you should save those conversations for the end of the day or extra time you have. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think it's important to ask students, like, what are you thinking? Did you enjoy the story? Things like that. But I think if you're really wanting to get to the deeper meat of a text, you want to ask questions that are going to be literal. You want to ask questions that are going to dig deeper into, like, what the author did, why the author did things, how the author taught you something or wrote something. And then you want to get into just, like, connecting books across text and text. So I think you really want to ask questions that are going to drive students to think about what they are reading deeper than, I like this book, I didn't like this book.
If you had a few go-to questions for, say, I'm doing a read aloud and I'm just struggling with what to come up with, and we don't want to default towards those personal affect questions of, what did you like? What do you think could be some of the go-tos?
I definitely think you can always start with, like, tell me what happened in the story. Because then you get a very big understanding of what the student caught and maybe what they missed. And then your questions following that can kind of fill in the gaps of what they might have missed. You can always pull out, the author said, why do you think he said this? Or what do you think he means by this? Or definitely coming to, like, unknown vocabulary and asking questions that might lead our students to gather some context about what that word means, things like that.
Right. I love the retell as a good starting point. Do you ever coach teachers specifically on the topic of read-alouds? And can you talk about how read-alouds are incorporated into the curriculum that Glenview is using now?
Absolutely. So one of our big push at Glenview is interactive read-aloud of complex text, then getting closer with, like, doing close reading. So we for sure spend most of our work around interactive read-aloud here. So a lot of my coaching comes around that. A lot of our planning comes around read-alouds. And so the big thing we look at is how do we ask questions from, like, the lowest level, literal understanding, all the way to deeper level analytical. And so that's what we kind of work on this year, is getting our teachers to develop questions across the text to help our students build some knowledge, think deeper about the text.
That's awesome. Okay, so like you kind of touched on a little bit, one of the purposes of read-alouds is to expose students to some of that sophisticated vocabulary. And what are some special considerations in this area for teachers who teach ELLs? Because I know that's a large population at this school.
Yes. So most lessons that you'll see here will have a component called wordplay. And so we do something with those tier 3, some tier 2 to tier 3 vocabulary words that our students aren't going to encounter in everyday life. So you might see something like, we act out the word if that's feasible. Not all words are going to work like that. We'll give a picture to understand the word. We'll draw it, do something, shades of meaning with words like that. And so we'll find a way to incorporate those. When we read the text, we're looking for words across the unit that are coming out in each text. So which words are important and which words can kind of just be understood with context. We use thinking maps to organize our thinking around those things. And one resource that I really love is Collins English Dictionary.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
And it was designed with EL learners in mind. And what I love is it uses each vocabulary word in a kid-friendly, like sentence, so that it gives some kind of context. So you're not like, let me try to figure out a sentence, how to use this, so it's understandable. It's already done. And there's like lots of context of the words given like lots of different sentences.
That's awesome.